Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's open house session. I hope all of you had a very productive time while working on your idea and questionnaire and incorporating the learning from the last workshop. Today's session is an opportunity for you to present your questionnaire and receive constructive feedback and strengthen your ideas further before moving ahead in this particular journey. So today we will discuss top 5 presentation questionnaires and helping you assess your questionnaire if it is valid to get the answers from your problem statement and have a and can share a credibility towards your research. Then, in addition to this, we will also continue our discussion on research design and idea validation, ensuring your solution are pretty supported by credible insights, strong evidences, and uh, meaningful stakeholder understanding. This session is also designed to be very interactive, so feel free to ask your questions and seek clarification or provide active participation in the discussion. So remember, the objective is not just to present the idea, but also to demonstrate your learning in your process of researching in your primary and secondary research and validating for your problem statement. So we look forward to hearing from your presentation and helping you refine your problem statement more. With that, let's begin today's open house, and I would request Jitendra sir to speak up, and everyone who want to speak in between the presentations or want to provide their thoughts, they can raise their hand or write it in the chat box. So thank you.
Thank you, Shruti. Hi, guys. Good afternoon. Hello. So today number is lesser, maybe because of Saturday, but definitely this presentation is being recorded, and those who are not able to join will be able to access information. And I'll also expect that those who are in touch with other cohort members, they should also be in discussion with each other. And if there are any sort of like valuable information you gain from here, we can share with them so that you'll be able to understand what is to be done in the next phase of activity. So how many of you are first time joiners? Again, I'm asking same question so that we'll be able to briefly talk about what we have done. Anybody who's joining first time? Okay, so nobody? Yeah. All right. How many of you have submitted your assignment? Okay. Varun, Rohit, Yogesh.
Also, I just wanted to interrupt. We have received more than 100 responses
100
for the
responses? Okay, very good.
presenters.
Yeah. So, Shruti, have you identified who will be able to present today? And then we can possibly structure it.
We haven't identified because
Okay.
we don't know who will present today or not. So we
Acha.
will
So
request.
who have not
Yes.
been able to present their ideas earlier, I think that would
Yes.
be a good approach. Today we will be discussing about basically we discussed a recap as that we have discussed the importance of research in our activity, because many times it happens that ideas are very independently floating sort of like information, which is sometimes very creative, sometimes very interesting to work on. But we do research to strengthen that idea. Our approach is always to understand what is the premise of that idea, where it is coming from, and where it is going to go in terms of viable business model. So that way, idea need to be checked, idea need to be worked out, idea need to be strengthened to make it viable in the entrepreneurial context. And that can happen through research. Yeah, research is very common sort of like term. Otherwise, we have been using it in multiple locations. Every time in a very casual sort of like manner, whenever we are purchasing anything, you're purchasing a mobile, you'll do extensive research. What are the specifications? What type of performances? What type of your requirement versus what is available in the market? Something which is available, whether it is meeting your objective, the cost of mobile should not be beyond your sort of like pocket, and it should not be too less also, because when you have some money, you would like to invest this in something which is really worth. So that is one of the very basic form of research. Maybe before joining your courses, you must have done research in terms of like what type of educational sort of like options you should choose. You must have explored about different type of institutions, and then one where you want to go, and one where you are eligible to go, and one which is most suited in your scenario, maybe sometimes based on your location, or maybe nature of courses or placements. This is all research. Yeah. And as you have seen, if research is not good, research is not well done, then possibly you will be able to face some sort of like challenges, because you will come across something which is very surprising. You will come to know, okay, my institution doesn't have a good placement if you have not done a research. You find that, okay, courses are very different than what you expected. Or sometimes you find that course is very, very tough than what you have thought of. These are very common experiences when research is not done. Yeah. And same thing happens when you have very high stake in terms of like your entrepreneurial journey, higher amount of investments involved, good amount of time you are going to invest in something. You're definitely you have to do extensive research, and that research cannot be a fluke. That research cannot be by some people told you something and you are going ahead based on certain other people's idea. Or you might be having some intuition, and based on those intuition, you are feeling that, okay, everything is good and I should go for it. Rarely it happens that your intuitions are right. Majority of time, your extensive research only helps you to gain some success in the entrepreneurial journey. And then we discussed briefly about how research should be planned. Your research question which is emerging from your uh, problem statement is helpful in terms of what type of key questions you should ask to your audience or your scenarios. And those scenarios could be your users, your policy sort of like makers, or maybe people who are going to support you as vendors or suppliers or something, or questions you might be interested in asking about your competition, or maybe challenges or technology which is available versus technology you are going to use. So that way there are variety of questions you will be coming across. If all those questions are responded rightly, then you will have confidence that your approach is right. If those questions are not responded rightly, then you will be in again some sort of like dilemma, or some sort of like challenges will be there. In some scenarios, getting answers are easier. In some scenarios, answers are not easy to get. So scenarios when users are complicated, users are not approachable, users are not responding rightly, then you have a problem. A scenario where information is not available outside in terms of market information, you are going to be in problem. So we have divided our research approach as secondary research and primary research in our last discussion. Okay. So this is relatable. You remember everything? I hope. Yeah. So secondary research gives you a data which is available in the outside scenario. What you do basically, you try to gather data which is coming from agencies, governments, or maybe institutions who are doing research, or maybe researchers who are writing papers and all, and they are going to give you some information about how the scenario is there. Based on that, you get some idea. Okay, I'm in a right market. This market is going to respond positively. I'm seeing a good customer base here. I'm seeing there are a lot of problems which is going to help us. Okay. So that way you gain some sort of like confidence when you do secondary research. You gain some backing that your idea or your approach is right. Then comes the primary research. This research is done uh, personally, like this research is done uh, by the entrepreneurs themselves, because these answers have not been available or not been provided by the market. You have to make your own approaches to get those answers, and approaches are very simple. You have been doing this earlier, we have discussed this also. Okay, there are some conversation going on. I'm not able to go to that, so we'll get back to that. I think you are finalizing your sequences. We are going to take 4 or 5, maximum 6 presentations today. Yeah. So, primary research, when you have questions unanswered, then you frame your questions in such a way that answers are easier. If you ask right questions, you will get right answers. If you're not asking right questions, you will get ambiguous answers. And those ambiguity will lead to ultimately confusion. Then confusion will lead to failures. So that way, your questions have to be right. Those questions can be asked in multiple settings. If you want to have multiple responses, then you will go for quantitative sort of like approach. Quantitative approach is asking too many people a set of questions, and then you're getting those answers in some sort of like numeric value. Somebody says yes and no. Somebody says out of five, three or four or five, or one or zero. Some people say I like it very much and I absolutely don't recommend this. So those are the quantitative responses. You try to understand how many people respond positively, negatively. If responses are linking with each other, then you try to frame certain type of backings based on questions. You say that okay, question number 1 and question number 5 say that there is a possibility. That means we should go ahead. Or question number 3, 4, and 5 basically gives an idea about customers' confidence about the product. So that way you try to frame those answers in a right manner, and then you go ahead. In some cases, quantitative methods are not enough, and you have to go for more deeper sort of like understanding of your users. Those understanding which are coming from basically interviews or maybe certain type of tools you use to understand, or through observations, or through your personal sort of like experience of situation, you gain certain type of qualitative responses. Qualitative responses usually, if you usually look into these areas, you will find that I don't like it. There's a qualitative response. You don't have a scale of liking, but you're feeling that okay, somebody doesn't like my product, or somebody says this product is absolutely good. That means there is a higher amount of like favor or favorable response towards the question. Or you say that okay, these two products are better than the other products in the market. Now their scale is missing, but you have an ability to understand what is the response sort of like quantum in given situation. And similar responses through conversations, through interviews, through observations, through certain type of engagements, you'll be able to understand that qualitatively you have certain type of understanding of the situation. Many times qualitative responses are very critical to take call. And like Steve Jobs, usually when he was looking at customers, he was trying to understand what customer would possibly be preferring. And sometimes he used to ask people, sometimes he used to just observe them. And that way, he used to gain some idea about what could be a possibility in the upcoming devices. Was one of the approach. There are multiple ways that it can be done. Many good researchers are good with interviews or good with ethnographic research. You go in the community, you be there, you try to talk to people in different ways. You try to behave as if you are the person part of the community. And then you see that there are certain things which are emerging, and you'll be able to know what is going to be possible in the given situation. So these are quantitative responses. I'll first share with you the quantitative approach. We have already discussed qualitative uh, research method, where we have discussed survey, and we are going to see some of the survey responses. But briefly, we will talk about qualitative research, and then we'll open for, and then I'll share with you some examples, and then we'll open for the presentations. Yep. So okay, are you able to see this? Yeah. So basically, qualitative research, as we call it qualitative, that means it gives us multiple sort of like perspective on any given thing, which cannot be quantified easily. So in this scenario, an approach is basically to explore social and human problems. Majority of time it happens that we try to quantify everything which we are receiving from given situation. Majority of time it happens that quantification of certain sort of like feelings, experiences, emotions are not possible. In those scenarios, the things need to be understood in a qualitative manner. And many times, human response is never quantitative in its nature. So you have to make some inferences out of what is being said and how you can possibly take something out of it. So that way, qualitative research helps us in terms of understanding human, who is going to be important part of your domain, and how to possibly understand what somebody is trying to say. It's more exploratory research. Like you explore as you go further, you try to understand what is happening in the scenario, and then you try to make some meaning out of it. Because many times it happens, and in qualitative research, let's say interview is one of the approach. You must have done interviews earlier to understand what your users are feeling. So in that scenario, it happens many times that as you start discussing, you start exploring new domains, and you try to understand as people start responding to your questions. And there are new questions emerging, and then new answers are coming, and you are framing their responses, and then you come to some conclusion. So that way, it becomes more exploratory, and you try to understand things as you go there. So as you become a user and you try to discuss with users, you start seeing that as conversation goes further, things will emerge. The purpose of research involves emerging questions and procedures. So it is never that only set questions which are set in the questionnaire are going to be asked. Many times it happens that questions are very spontaneous. Questions are many times emerging as things are evolving in the process. Data collected in the participant setting. Majority of time it happens that when you're doing an interview, you can go to the scenario where user is basically present, user is comfortable responding to your questions. Sometimes you meet them in those settings which are basically users natural setting for using your product or services, so that you will get a right sort of like feeling. So let's say an study of like airport related uh, time, spending of time, like how people spend their time inside the airport. You go to somebody's house or office asking, okay, what do you do when you are there in airport, and there is a waiting type of 1.5 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours or something. What is your preferred sort of like thing with you do during that time? Do you like reading books? Do you like eating? These could be answered in your office settings. This could be answered from possibly your other locations. You can ask somebody to stop in between traffic and say, okay, what is your experience of airport in last visit? How did you spend your time there? Could be a possibility. But best part would be that you should be either inside the airport or just outside the airport and ask people, okay, how you're planning, what do you do when you are there in airport and you're trapped because your flight has not come, and you have to wait for 1 hour, 2 hours, or whatever. Yeah. So those could be settings helpful in the scenarios when your questions are very tricky. Researchers' interpretation of meaning of their data influences the analysis. That's a very important point. That it's not that all interviews, all qualitative responses are going to be same, or all same responses are going to be understood in same manner. As you start talking to person, you also observe what type of responses person is giving, how much confident a person is, how much knowledgeable a person when they are responding about certain topics, and then you make meaning out of it. If person is less knowledgeable, you will give lesser weightage. If you feel that respondent is very serious and is responding to your questions in a very sort of like genuine manner, then your understanding of response will be very, very high. So that way, that also depends. All these things are depending on how researcher or how entrepreneur is looking at those scenarios, their responses, and how they are going to interpret it. So there is a subjectivity involved, and that subjectivity sometimes need to be checked also. Yep. Describe complexities and challenges in descriptive manner. So whenever there are complexities and challenges, you'll find that there are descriptions. I met a person today. That person was doing something, and then I asked them these questions, and these are the responses which I have received. And those responses are like this. Question number one, the person felt confident about it, and these are the possibilities. Question number two, person responded straightforward. Person did not respond positively. Person hesitated many times before getting to an answer could be a descriptive response. And you can make inference out of multiple responses. Yep. Any questions in between you can ask. Stop me, guys, please. Key boundaries of qualitative research. So boundaries are very simple, conducted in natural settings. So you will always have to find something which is like real time scenario because that is the most appropriate situation to get answers. Our responses are qualitative and subjective. So consider that there is definitely going to be some part of subjectivity. Your answers might not be perfectly right, perfect representation of the situation, and you will have some inferences even though the responses are varied in the nature. Inductive in nature based on the respondent's response. Emerging in nature and may evolve as per the response conditions. We have discussed this. Interpretation of data decides the outcome. So when you have a data and you sit with your team and you discuss, okay, this response, what meaning you are going to make out of it? The discussion tells you, okay, what meaning we should take. Sometimes entrepreneurs say, no, I have a confidence that this person is saying absolutely right. And then you go ahead with that. So interpretation is very, very critical in this. And your knowledge in that domain is also very important. If you have wider knowledge, then your interpretation or perspective will be right. If you have limited knowledge of domain, then you will be going away with going ahead with the information, which is possibly limited in terms of information. There might not be only one interpretation. So you might feel that okay, person is saying yes as well as person is in doubt. Or person might be, the respondent might be having multiple perspective on something, and you have to take one of that. So, or situations might emerge as multiple outcome, which need to be understood right. So that way, there are multiple interpretation of situation, and those need to be taken care. Influence of researchers is very, very critical and important. Like it decides how outcome is going to. If I am a let's say I'm a professor, possibly I'll be looking at from more academic perspective. The same responses you as a student or as an entrepreneur, possibly looking at from a different perspective. So those influences are always there. So you have to counter those influence and try to see what could be the right sort of like understanding of situation. Challenges of qualitative research. Selection of topic, approach, and tools is a big challenge. Because how do you decide that which topic to be taken in an interview? How you find the right sort of like target respondents? How you get to them? Because if they are sitting in different complex situations, then getting them is very, very difficult. If they are not ready to respond to your questions, then there is a difficulty. It happens in especially social innovation scenarios where you will find that your respondents are really tricky to catch hold of, and many times they are not convinced and they are not ready to give answers to your questions. Researchers training is also very important. You as an entrepreneur might not be able to do all the research. In those scenarios, you will ask your team to go and look for information. This might be a scenario after some time. Right now, you are running this enterprise on your own or with your teammates. But as you expand, you will not be interested in doing or you will not be able to do all the research on your own. So in those scenarios, researchers need to be trained right. They should also be having that same idea which you are carrying in your mind so that you'll be able to get the answers. Recording, collection, validation of data is a tricky thing. Sometimes you have to make notes, sometimes you record voice, or sometimes you record in videos. But that becomes a difficulty when you record in video, then people get conscious. When you record voices, then there is a problem of going through everything and understanding what is there. When you start writing, then writing should be right. The legibility as well as the information which is collected is also need to be right. Yeah. So that becomes a challenge many times, and you have to be conscious about it. And you should be prepared with all possible tools to understand how you will be doing that. Interpretation, analysis, insights are problems. Insights I'll be talking about towards the end of the presentation today. And presentation of research finding, because when you present such complexity, complex nature of information to your audience, it becomes a difficulty because you have multiple ideas, you have multiple experiences with you. How you will present it to the right audience in a right manner is a difficulty. And many times it happens. Like it's not that the early stage entrepreneurs are facing this problem. Many times, your experience, your understanding, your insights are difficult to be shared with outside people. So you should be able to work on it, and you should be able to make right sort of like presentation. Then when you design your research, the good approach is like don't just rely on surveys which are going to be quantitative sort of like approach, or maybe qualitative approach like interviews, observation, and other tools. But you should mix these information. So maybe you, if you are good with observation, do some observation, then prepare a questionnaire and then get the response. If you are good with interviews and questionnaires, go for both. If you have a lot of like ambiguity and missing some understandings and all, go for quantitative first and go for qualitative later, just for the validation. If your quantitative data is perfect and you are very much confident, just do a sort of like dipstick test, so that you will be able to understand, okay, when I discussed with people, when I spoke to people, they gave same response, and I'm confident that my research is doing good. Yeah. So that way, there are multiple ways that a response can be collected. I'll give you one example, then we will go for the presentation. Like one scenario I discussed, how helmets becoming a problem, not only for the agencies who are implementing helmet for the safety of riders, but also people who are using helmet. And every time there is a tussle between these two guys. Police guy says you have to pay fine because you are not conscious about your own safety. Person says I'm not comfortable using helmet. My life is in my hand. Why should I do this? And this conflict has not been resolved because of multiple issues. So you have a research problem where, as an entrepreneur, you're trying to solve this problem and you're trying to see how things can be sorted. What you will do, will possibly frame your questions right, and then you will try to understand how the right answers can be collected. Your first approach will be to understand what is your objective. You are looking at two-wheeler accidents and understanding important role of helmet usage in road safety. This is your objective of research. You are saying that, okay, whether helmet really saves or not. In some scenarios, we have seen that helmets are not able to completely save a person. Many times, even after helmet has been in use, but person has suffered injuries and all. So those type of scenarios are also there. In that scenario, what you're saying is like whether helmet is rightly designed and whether it is really saving people or not. So in that scenario, first thing will be to understand the context where you're working in the situation. If you're working for a rural scenario, if you're working for an urban scenario, if it is an highway, if it is an Indian scenario versus maybe any other country scenario, you'll find that context becomes very, very critical. Rural scenarios, people are more casual. Traffic situations are not very harsh, but accidents definitely happen in rural settings also. Yeah. If it is an urban, then chaotic traffic scenarios, very high speed going vehicles, law breaking drivers versus complex infrastructure, and then other situations where two-wheeler riders are facing issues. Then you will find identifying users and giving context. And then you will try to define your key questions like challenges of helmet usage in India for two-wheelers and Indian two-wheelers and the possibilities. And then ways to improve helmet usage in vehicle riders, two-wheeler riders. So that way you will try to identify that what are the possible ways that helmet can be made more usable. If this is the situation, then how you will set your questions. You will set your context by understanding users, geographic locations, environmental conditions, law and order situations, enforcement possibility. Gujarat is very lenient, whereas Maharashtra and Chandigarh and Delhi and some other states are Tamil Nadu. They are amazingly prompt in terms of like catching hold of people who are not wearing helmet. So that way, you know, if it is a research in Gujarat, then there are things to be done in different way. And we do that type of research. My students have done multiple such research in the field with the traffic police. So that way it happens that local bodies, their enforcement ways, their connect with users also become very, very important. Personal choices, you will go to users, you will ask them multiple questions, saying why you use, why you don't use, what type of challenges you face, whether you like the design, what discomforts you face, what type of constraints which make you not use a helmet, whether it is a price, whether it is a other reason, you should understand. then you will try to understand what type of manufacturers are there and what type of market scenarios are there. Yep. Any questions on this? Okay. So that is going to be your context. Then you'll try to understand the objective. Like two-wheelers, accidents and improving role of helmet. And you will try to understand uh, scenario and information in reference to the context. You will try to understand how many accidents have happened in few years, last 2 years. How many of them are there in city scenarios? If you are looking at a state, then state numbers. What type of fatality issues are there? Like how many people have died, how many have got injured, how many of them were wearing helmet, how many of them have not were not wearing helmet, what are the road conditions, what are the accident types, whether it is two-wheeler versus four-wheeler, whether it is own sort of like fault and accident, whether it is environmental conditions. These are going to be the context to understand, to map everything in a right way. Helmet related regulations, what is going to be the fine and all, or what is the situation in present scenario, you are going to catch hold of those information. These are all secondary data. Challenges faced by users, there are extensive amount of research already done, and you will come to know that there are challenges faced by users. Initiatives and interventions by NGOs or self-help groups or people who are like researchers and all, they are going to provide you a lot of information and possibilities. Role of agencies and users, all these things we have to understand. Okay. Then when it comes to users, there are multiple users. One is the riders. Second is the agencies like traffic police, policymakers, NGOs and all who are trying to implement the rule. Manufacturers, certifying agencies, like there are certifying agencies like ISI mark should be there. So what is ISI mark doing in helmet and how they are making sure that helmets are right in quality. Manufacturers, how they are bringing in new designs so that people will like them, how they are making helmets more comfortable, more easy to wear, more cost effective and all. Law and regulation implementation agencies and all, and what is their role. Researchers and institutions, how they are doing their part in terms of improving different things. When it comes to challenges of helmet usage in Indian two-wheelers, which is our objective, our key question, these type of questions will emerge. How users see use of helmet in given situation. You can ask a quantitative sort of like survey, and you can send that survey. You can ask people to respond to certain questions, and these questions could follow in those both scenarios. Uh, how users use the helmet, you can ask questions whether you have a helmet, whatever helmet you're using, what is the quality of helmet, is it certified, what is the price of it, do you use it regularly, how many times you find yourself not using helmet. These are could be possibly qualifying questions. You'll make sure that person who is using should go further, or person who is not using should go further, or both the people should be responding to your question in different ways to understand what are the mindsets. What challenges are faced by using helmet? Yeah, so people will say, okay, I find it very uh, claustrophobic, or maybe I find it very heavy, or this is not fitting in my head, or there are not right sizes for my purpose, or maybe it is too closed and there are sweating issues, there are smelly issues, or there are maybe air circulation issues, hair losses, and all could be possibly users' responses. Why helmet usage is such a big issue in riders? You can ask this question, maybe saying that why you don't want to use it if somebody is not using. And people will say, this is my choice. I don't find it useful. It is not sure that it is going to save me. That type of responses we have seen earlier also. We have done this research earlier. What makes one not use helmet? Why people will not use whatever be the situation? Or they will try to avoid. You can ask those questions in a very smart way and you will get the answers. That why people who are like really need to use are not taking this safety gear for their own safety. Yeah. Enforcement agency. How you will ask those questions to the enforcement agencies. How they see usage of helmet in present scenario. They will give you a pattern. Where many times we have asked police personnel, how do you see? People say, sir, these guys will just wear it in front of us. Whenever you will go out of, they will go out of their sight, they will take it out. Whenever they come to know that there is a checking going on, they will wear helmet. These are the responses police has given to us in many scenarios. Okay. Their perspective of challenges of helmet. Police is very, very smart. Police is also understanding users very rightly. We have seen that police has a lot of like right sort of like answers related to this topic. And we rely police response also in terms of when they frame their users and their behaviors. So we ask those questions like why people don't use it, why it should be made mandatory, how we should make it usable so that police will not be required, how police can possibly be more educating, more supportive in terms of helmet usage. These are very tricky questions which are required to be answered by and then need to be understood through the conversation. So that way, and then last question comes to the manufacturers market and why they are doing certain type of things, why they are not making best helmets in the country at a lowest cost. I don't know why companies are not exploring multiple options. Why they are making only styling helmets. The good companies, high-end companies are giving lesser options in entry-level market. There are more bigger options, better options, more safer options in the high-end market. So that is a skewed scenario, and there is a possibility to look into. I also have come across one of the fact that GST charge on helmet is 18%, which is a, I think government can do something. I'm just throwing one of the point that if something is required to be done, I think first thing is to be done at the GST level. It should be free. There should be no GST. This is my understanding right now. Okay. But if helmet is required to be taken in a right manner, I think government should also initiate some of the steps. Then defining your research in terms of like understanding and answering a few questions, helmet usage scenario, location, vehicle, person, tools, and all. And there are multiple ways that you can do this activity. You will go fast so that you will get some time to present. Okay. A good survey questionnaire will be, I think, valid sort of like questions you should ask. You should ask questions which are relevant. You should ask questions which are easy to answer. You should ask questions which people understand right and they respond in a right manner. There should not be too much of like waviness. You are asking at first point what is price of helmet and second point do you find it comfortable. So there should be uniformity when you're asking price, quality, make, choice. Then you should remain in that domain. When you go to next comfort, preference, feeling, then you should go in that manner. So that is basically uniformity of questions. It should be well defined. Like questions should not be haywire. Could be of different intensity, of different sort of like domains which are not relevant or relatable. So it should be well defined. Question should not be ambiguous. It should not be complex language. It should be in vernacular whenever it is possible. If you're doing some survey in Karnataka, it should be in Kannada. If you're doing some survey in Odisha, then it should be in Odia. People will be able to respond it right. If you don't know the local language, catch hold of somebody who will be able to talk on your behalf, and you can keep understanding what is the response. So that way, those are common challenges, and sometimes we take it lightly when we go for the research. The survey should be reliable, should be sequential, as I mentioned. There should be a proper like sequence of questions so that people will not find it cumbersome to respond. Yeah. It should be interesting, like people when they are filling up forms, they should find it interesting to respond. Many times we ask tricky questions, many times we ask easy questions, many times we ask very personal questions. Yeah. And sometimes we ask questions in such a way that people find it interesting to respond. And so questions which are related to them and all. It should be succinct so that people will not find it difficult to fill up, and they will be able to fill up all the responses. Many times it happens that your survey forms are half filled, and people don't complete it, and you lose a respondent, valuable respondent, when your questionnaire is complicated. Yep. Then survey tools and questionnaires in terms of bike respondents. This could be possibly the structure we have discussed this. When you go for the interview in a similar scenario, you will do contextual inquiry, you will possibly do some in-depth interviews. Contextual inquiry will give you the idea of context, where you are and how people can respond to that. In-depth interviews are like you're sitting with one person and you're talking deeper questions. Could be possibly more in a unstructured manner. And you're trying to understand what is the pain, what is the feeling, what sort of issue challenges people have faced. Focus group, when you call certain type of people who are coming from same sort of like domain and they're responding. So let's say college goers who are using two-wheelers and commuting at least 10 kilometers every day one way, you are asking them. And so this is a focus group where you're asking them some set of questions to everyone. And then there is a discussion going on and people are responding to it. One-on-one interview. So that is going to be with single person in a very personal sort of like manner. Laddering, when it comes to asking for one set of like interviews and then getting some response, and then based on those response, you try to build your next level of interviews, and then you get some responses. Interviews could be unstructured, could be semi-structured. That means you have some structure, some questions ready, but in and around there are possibility of multiple questions coming in, and you will be able to note them down, the responses. Structured interviews are not preferred many times when you want to engage with your users and where your topic is very complicated. You usually don't prefer to go for all set questions and everybody has to answer to only those questions. It's not the scenario in majority of scenario, but that is also a possibility when your user respondent groups are uniform and they are able to respond to your questions in a right manner. Yeah. So we have discussed this in case of like two-wheeler also. This is the possibility that the factors which are going to emerge, like deeper understanding of human aspect of helmet usage you will be able to understand. Challenges of using helmet would possibly be required to be done. And when you're doing interviews with users, the ergonomic, weather conditions, situation, settings, you will be able to understand. And the responses are going to be in more familiar, so informal and familiar sort of like friendlier manner, so that people will be able to respond to your questions in a right manner. Limitations will be like this only, like responses could be varied, could be possible, could be a possibility that they are not having a common relationship between each others. I'm responding on comfort, somebody is responding on prices, somebody is responding on the availability, somebody is responding on safety of helmet. There is a possibility that people may go haywire, but you have to bring everything together in a structured manner. Yeah. Okay. So basically, when you do a research, there are possibilities that you will come across multiple challenges, and those challenges require to be understood beforehand when you go for any type of like planned research. And those researches, or those things could be possibly response biases, interpretation, and challenges of insights. Every time you do a research, you will find that people are giving you information which is beyond your interpretation. Many times, yes, Rohit.
Sir, is these the questionnaires, interviews, and everything that you mentioned are a part of secondary research or primary research?
Which questions?
I mean, the questionnaires, doing
Oh,
interviews.
questionnaires are always part of primary research. See, I'll explain you in terms of like how research should be seen. Secondary research is basically a data which is available outside. Yeah.
Sir,
So data which is available outside means somebody else has done the research and has provided that data in some platform, maybe libraries or online databases or something which is accessible, available to the common people. Okay, this is secondary data. When you are doing questionnaires are not secondary data questions. You will never ask what is the population of India. It's not a questionnaire question. Yeah? You're not testing somebody's knowledge. When you are doing a questionnaire, that means you will ask those questions which are relevant to your area, your domain. So let's say somebody is doing a research, somebody is doing a sort of like enterprise, sort of like possibility study in the area of availability of medicines in government hospitals. So your secondary data will be able to give you a figure in terms of like what is the quantity of medicines available in the given situation, what type of what type of challenges people face in those scenarios. These are possibly going to be coming from the secondary data. Your objective will be in terms of like understanding what is the personal sort of like issues people face. Let's say somebody is saying that in critical sort of like scenarios, delay in medicine is a big problem. You want to understand why the availability of medicine is not happening. You will go to the medical store which is provided by the government, and then you will try to understand what are the logistic issues and all. If you are trying to understand what type of challenges people face when they are not getting medicines on time, you will go to people and you will ask them those questions. Okay, what is the scenario when you have not received? How many times you have not received medicine on the time? And how many times you have gone and purchased medicine on your own? How many times you have avoided taking medicine when medicine was not provided by the government hospital at a cheaper cost? Yeah. So those are the personal questions which are going to be going into either questionnaires in the quantitative research, or maybe interviews or observations, or maybe some other methods in your qualitative research.
So basically, the general data available outside
It's a
are,
secondary data.
yes, sir, and those data we collect tailor to our domain we are working on is the primary data.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yes, sir.
See, research we do whenever we have questions which are not answered.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So when you have such type of questions which you want to look for some sort of like answers for them, then you will go for your research approach. If all answers are available, then you will not do research. When in your college scenarios, when you do research, if everything is available in book, then you will not be required to do a research. When your professor asks you to do some research or plan some research activity, that means they are also asking you to bring out a question which need to be answered by the research. Yeah.
Yes,
And then you do some experiments. In scientific scenarios, you do experiments by using some materials and some sort of like systems. In social scenarios, you try to connect with people and try to understand what is their feeling, responses, and all. And you make some meaning out of those responses.
yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So biases are very, very important to be looked into. So response biases are of multiple type. When sometimes you'll find that your users, these are all biases coming from the users or from the researching person, entrepreneur. Yeah. So demand characteristic, users behaving differently. So users sometimes do not want to say that they don't have money. Sometimes users don't want to say that they are powerless. Sometimes they don't want to conform to something which is evident in the given situation. Sometimes users behavior in a user's response in a different manner. Sometimes even though I have a good experience with the website, I will always mark 3 out of 5. I would like to say, okay, I don't want to say that the services are good. Possibility of like such responses are very, very high. Because many times people don't want to conform to some sort of like questions in a right manner. Social desirability bias, influence of social factors. Sometimes people don't want to tell age, date of birth, or maybe locality, or maybe sometimes they don't want to say what type of diseases they have, or what type of education they have got, or what is their salary. A very big question. Many times we openly ask this, but people don't want to respond to it. And best way to avoid this is by giving a bracket. You earn between uh, uh, 5,000 to 10,000 rupees. You earn between 10,000 to 30,000 rupees, 30,000 to 1 lakh rupee, or maybe 50,000 to 1 lakh, 1 lakh to 2 lakh, 2 lakh to 5 lakh. This could be the bracket, yearly or monthly salary bracket. And you can find that your respondents are falling under some brackets. Is a better approach than asking specific salary. Okay, how much you earn every week or every month or every year. So social desirability bias is like you don't want to be seen in certain situation. So many times if you are doing research in complex domains, let's say a criminal who is going to respond to your question for some, let's say jail reforms, and you will ask them, okay, have you committed this crime, or how do you feel about it, or how do you see the scenario in jail in terms of your transformation? Many times you will find that social desirability bias will be there, and people will not be responding to your questions. Recency bias, influence of recent experiences. If I have used something recently, I will always be saying that this product is not good because I have certain experience of better product outside. Just few moments back. Yeah. So that way we get influenced by factors which are influencing us. If you, this happens in many times, it happens when people are going to purchase a car. They drive multiple cars, and sometimes they like their first or second car which they have driven. Or sometimes their friends have said something about certain things, and they will always be having bias of, okay, this is a good thing, this is not a good thing. Yeah, this is a recency bias because of your recent experiences happened in the nearby sort of like scenario. Extreme responses. People respond to something in extreme manner. Many times people say, this service I will absolutely say disliking. We will say, okay, not good. It's not working well. Even though things are doing fairly good, you can give 3 or 4 marks, but you're always giving 1 or 2 marks, 1 or 2 stars. Or sometimes you are like, sometimes it happens that restaurant guys ask you before they submit a bill to you. They say that, okay, rate us. And they will keep influencing you. Can you please give us 5 star? Can you please give us some rating in the website, Google or something? This is a extreme response, which is either by the force or by the choice people do. Neutral responding. Many times it happens that we don't respond to things in an extreme manner. We feel it's safe or acha. Don't go too much harsh and too much soft also. So whenever railways, when we are traveling and somebody comes, let's say in air conditioned bogies, there are surveys done by the contractors, and they will give you a sleep towards the last station saying, what is your experience of journey and how do you find our services? And they will ask certain questions. Okay, how do you feel the temperature of cabin? How do you feel the food quality and this and that? And you will find that they will be insisting, or you will always be giving them either 3 or 4 or 5. You will never be saying, okay, very bad. Because sometimes you feel the person will get affected. Sometimes you feel the person's sort of like increments, or sometimes their benefits will be stopped if you give harsher responses. Acquiescence response is the positive responses. Acquiescence bias is always positive responses. You always want to try to be positive on the side. So you feel that, okay, negative responses will not be good for somebody. Dissent bias is basically just right. Dissent bias is basically disagreement with the questions. If you are not liking the question, if you're finding it not right, then you will always say that, okay, no, I don't agree to this. I will not go by this. I'll not take this or something. So these type of biases are always there in the research. You have to, so my point is like, you should be aware about where you are getting such type of biases, and you should be able to counter them. Same thing happens with the interpretation. Your personal experiences, your background, your influences also make certain type of judgments in the given scenario. And you always keep feeling, okay, my product is well accepted. See, people are saying positive about it. But you are ignoring certain things where people have said negative or they have cautioned you about your services or product. So that way, those biases are interpretation biases. In terms of insights, so we'll come to insights later, and I would like to invite maybe first a few sort of like questionnaires which have been created by the uh, groups, and then we will have some quick discussions, and then we'll go to the insights, how we generate insights, what we call an insight, and how insights are so important when it is related to your entrepreneurial journey. So shall we have our first presenter? Is it okay? Any questions here? Okay, perfect. Okay, who's going to make the first presentation? I'm going to stop here.
Gayatri is here.
Okay.
She will present it. Hello, Gayatri.
Yes, good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir, and all my fellow teammates at Incubator. So, ma'am, could you please show the presentation that I've uploaded from my end?
Sure.
Sure. Thank you so much, ma'am. All right, so good evening, everyone. I'm Gayatri, and I'm the founder and CEO of Serva Electronics, which is the company that we have registered for Cisco and NASCOM Foundation's Thinkubator. So I'll also be participating with my friend Rahul, who is the CTO of this company. So before building Serva, we wanted to validate whether the problem that we've looked into actually existed and whether both customers and technicians would adopt a new solution. So rather than building first, like Jitendra sir had mentioned throughout his presentations, that we should choose always a research first approach, whether it is primary research or secondary research. I think getting a gist of how your market looks like or the startup that you're building, you need to have a clear idea of what it's going to have. Otherwise, it's going to take a really ambiguous path. So, for some statistics, India's electronics repair ecosystem is very unorganized. India has generated over 6.2 million metric tons of e waste in 2024. And this is projected to more than double in 2030. Yet, most of our repair decisions will only still rely on word of mouth, with barely any transparency around pricing, spare parts, or warranties. So, during our primary and secondary research processes, we have identified three main questions. So, number one, do customers actually face a trust problem? Number two, what operational challenges do technicians face? And number three, would both sides accept a verified, transparent, and warranty backed workflow? So, to answer these, we conducted a customer survey from the customer's point of view who's getting these electronic devices to repair. And this survey had 111 participants, where over 91% of the respondents had mentioned that they would want a platform that assists them with building better repair infrastructure. And alongside with that, I also conducted a cold call with this repair business near Malleshwaram called I Do Care, allowing us to validate real operational challenges rather than simply relying on assumptions. So, our goal is to essentially validate the product market fit before we build, and which also mitigates technical and business risks as much as possible, and which also mitigates the harm because of these technical and business related risks. Ma'am, could you please move to the next slide? So, coming on to our customer research framework. So, we follow 7 stages from understanding who our users are to validating whether they would actually use Serva as a platform. So we study repair behavior existing. Of course, we take a good look at their profile first. So because everybody has a different approach to getting their devices repaired, whether it is a student who wants convenience or maybe a senior citizen who wants robust reliability in their devices. They want them to, make it work as long as possible, right? So everybody has a different problem when it comes to working with their devices. So our customer research follows like 7 stages from understanding who our users are and eventually like identifying what the pain points are. So we study the number one, repair behavior, the pain points, of course, the alternative solutions, the feature preferences, like what would they want in better repair infrastructure, and service expectations. So beyond these structured questions in a Google form, we also collect qualitative feedback, as Jitendra sir had mentioned, to uncover insights that we may or may not have expected. So our hypothesis is simple. If we solve trust, pricing transparency, and warranty assurance, customers will be willing to choose a verified repair platform. Ma'am, could you please move on to slide number 3? Thank you very much, ma'am. So, coming on to our technician research framework. So, a two-sided marketplace succeeds only if technicians also see value. So, we're not just building Serva Electronics for people who want to get their devices repaired, but it's also building a better opportunity for technicians who want to get their devices repaired. So, therefore, we study technician operations, supply chains, digital readiness, onboarding willingness, and training needs. So during that cold call I had with the person at I Do Care, we had explored like customer acquisition costs, which is how much is the minimum amount required to onboard customers to get a service availed. pricing disputes, which many technicians and customers have in these repair centers, quality control, spare parts sourcing, and workflow standardization. Because while we conducted our customer survey, a major concern that many people had is knowing whether their electronic parts, which are being repaired with, is genuine or not. And most of the times, people don't really have an idea of what's really going on in the repair process when they are giving it to repair. So our hypothesis is that it's technicians will adopt Serva. So our hypothesis is that technicians will adopt Serva if it provides consistent demand, it lowers the acquisition costs, and it simultaneously builds the trust they have in their customers. Ma'am, could you please move on to slide number 4? All right. So last but not the least, so this research, what we've conducted, transforms raw data into product decisions that we would make. So the outputs include customer and technician personas, journey maps, pain point heat maps, feature prioritization, and an MVP roadmap. So from here, we're going to be deciding how our MVP or minimal viable product is going to look like. We already have a website that Rahul's developing, and it's still a work in progress because we're still like currently looking for more feedback as to how our MVP could be refined further. So instead of just guessing what users need, every major product decision will be supported by evidence collected from both sides of the marketplace, from the technicians end as well as the customers end. So Serva, what we're building is more than just a repair marketplace or what many people would describe as the Uber for electronics repair or the Urban Company for electronics repair. We are essentially trying to build trust infrastructure for India's repair ecosystem. So by extending device life cycles, we help reduce the electronic waste while supporting independent technician through greater visibility, standardized workflows, and most importantly, sustainable livelihoods. So this directly contributes to responsible consumption, like using our devices wisely, decent work. So a lot of technicians would, get the work that they need, and it even boosts and improves the economy and stronger local repair ecosystems across cities. So our objective is just to not simply build some app that's there, but we want to build an ecosystem that's grounded in data, trust, and transparency, which makes electronics repair accessible for everyone. And I think there was this another point outside of the presentation that Sir had talked about, which was defining the question. So before we started building this, like I looked into it. So is there a genuine, so our research problem was, is there a genuine trust problem in India's electronics repair ecosystem, and how can we curate a transparent and verified platform that can create value for both customers and technicians? So this is essentially the question that we had defined while we applied for Thinkubator, and it's also there in the fast track presentation as well. So more information is on that front. So thank you very much. And I'm open to questions. Is there anything that you'd like to ask?
As you, I think, rightly framed in terms of like your approach. But did you face any challenge when you were going for survey? When you took this survey out, what was your experience? How did you find the responses? Where the major challenges coming from?
Okay, so I just used a Google Forms, so the information collection was relatively easier. So I'll just open the form, sir. Thank you very much. I'll just look into it. Mm.
No, all right. Yeah, we can discuss with other groups also. Not
Mm.
required, but I think it was a very comprehensive presentation. Let's invite next group and we can
Thank you very
discuss in
much, sir.
detail about. Yeah.
If I'm not wrong, then Arju has raised her hand. Arju? Hello? Hello, Arju, can you hear me? Hello, Arju? Just give me a second. Then we can go with Rohit's presentation. Rohit Shishai. in case you want to present?
I've already presented in my previous open house.
Okay. Do you want to present in this open house, your questionnaire?
Yes, sure, I can go with that too.
Sure. Right. Let me know in case you want me to present my screen.
No, I will present. Now it's my screen visible.
Yeah, we can see. Yes.
So, sir, in last open house, you said that I have to add more pictures describing and depicting how my idea would look. And also visual data was needed also, you mentioned. And also you said that the solution should also include the riders. So I made some changes on the proposed solution user benefit where so basically instead of making fully autonomous drones, riders transition into last meter handoff agents. Like the drones will be autonomous, but they wouldn't autonomously go and deliver the parcel or package, anything directly to the customer, but there will be last meter handoff agents who will receive the drop the package, and then they will deliver on foot within a single locality. And yeah, can shift into ground crew roles too, like loading packages, maintaining drone maintenance teams, and like that.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
would you be able to present any questionnaire which you have prepared to understand your scenario or user or something?
Yes, sir. So the usage behavior. So I have prepared a 5-part questionnaire where part one is about usage behavior to, like to understand what our target audience uses and what they are comfortable with. I mean, what they already have, and about their routine and with the platform they currently use. And the part two is about delivery experience, where whether to know whether they are satisfied with what they
So,
already have.
part one, you are asking to the users.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Which platform they are using most?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Which platform they are using,
And
how
then their
often
frequency of usage.
yeah.
Then what do you most commonly order through this? Okay. What time of day do you use? You do you usually place the order? And what originally made you to switch to? Okay. Okay. User behavior. Okay. Next.
Part two is about the like complete delivery experience,
Hmm.
about how they feel about what they already have, like whether it will be Blinkit, Zomato, or whatever. So yeah, about whether they are satisfied. Second question is about what bothers you most about the current delivery experience? And yeah, what do they typically do when the delivery fails or is delayed like that? And how often they avoided ordering, placing an order during some climatic conditions, extreme climatic conditions like that. Part 3 is about what their unmet needs. This is the part where we gain some insights about what the currently used platform is lacking and how we can use that as a leverage to build our brand. So yeah. So first question is about when they place an order, what is important to them when they place a quick commerce order, like speed, price, reliability, and is there a time or day situation or situation when you feel quick commerce consistently lets you down? Like, yeah, they we're just asking about our target audience about whether what are all the things that they feel would be better if the current platforms who if had them.
Okay.
So yeah, this is the 4 questions about part 3, and part 4 is
Good.
about awareness and attitude. So my idea is about uh, the emissions that are created by the riders, the gig riders, riding through the city space, making pollution. So the part 4 is about knowing whether the customers, the
Yeah.
target audience, know about the environmental impact of the.
So how many users have responded with the right sort of like answers on for part 4?
Sir, no, sir. Actually, I created this questionnaire after you
After
gave
this.
the assignment.
Okay, anticipate or try to understand how people will be responding to this. Many times they might be feeling that it is just a kilometer, 2 kilometer, 4, 5 kilometers of ride. It
Yes, sir.
doesn't make a great difference or something. Or sometimes they will also think from employment sort of like perspective. They will say somebody is getting some job, they're earning
Yes, sir.
money by using this. Or somebody will say while delivering, they're picking few orders and they're delivering on the go. And by doing so, what they are doing basically, they are saving a lot of petrol as compared to me and my other neighbors going to a shop, purchasing something, coming back by using their vehicles. So this is very tricky questions. These questions, awareness, or whether they're open to technology adaptation. So you should ask them definitely. I'm not saying that because you want to understand their understanding of this, and you want to push your idea that even though it is cost saving and all, but still there is some impact, and you want to avoid that impact by using drones.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that definitely, but you have to be very smart in terms of like asking questions in a right manner. It should
Yes,
not
sir.
lead to confusion. It should not lead to unanswered questions and all. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So
Okay, good approach.
I have
But
to
look
change.
for, as we have discussed today, look for how much sort of like response so look for something that how you would basically frame the research approach, how many responses you would like to collect from the survey forms, and how much you want to understand through personal sort of like interactions. Okay, so maybe part 3 and 4 could be more of interview questions where you want to understand users, selective users. You will say, okay, this is the impact. Would you prefer if drone transportation is safer in terms of like safety of the material, safety of receivers, as well as the cost of delivery? Then would you be interested in taking this? Because then there will be choices. No? When you will be ordering, you will come to know, okay, my order is going to be delivered by a human or by the machine.
Yes, sir.
So that way you can also ask deeper questions during your interviews. But straightforward questions could be onboarding, how much time, how much money they spend, how many orders they do, how they interact with the delivery person, what are their concerns about delivery persons, do they feel that delivery persons also have some issues in terms of their possibly safety issues, maybe in some scenarios. or delivery person's personal sort of like issues in terms of like their fatigue, their ability to do job and all, you can ask those questions in your questionnaires.
Yes, sir.
So that way, it's a very interesting domain to look into because there are a lot of human factors involved into or human issues involved into the domain.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
I basically picked some questions about the task you gave, not like full-fledged questionnaire. And about the part 5 openness to the alternatives, like to know whether the target audience is open to some new alternatives for the current quick commerce platforms.
They will not be able to answer. This is my personal experience.
Yes, sir.
When quick delivery started, we were skeptical about it. How it will happen, who will deliver, they should not damage the materials. One of the time was when Big Basket used to deliver and cross check everything. That okay, this is the material, this is available, and they used to give a proof that okay, we have delivered everything, nothing is left out, or something has not been picked by the delivery guys or dropped by the delivery guy. Yeah. But now the situation is like that we are 100% sure about whatever is there inside the packet is complete.
Yes, sir.
And for last few maybe months or years, I've never checked what is there inside the packet, whether it is appropriate in terms of like quality and quantity and all. So I think this will be a question in terms of like whether people will be able to anticipate what is going to happen or not. So you should be careful about how this question is to be asked and to be answered.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Okay. But this will be a very interesting experience when you will go for the survey. It will be very interesting experience for you to understand how people respond. And your upcoming questions will be basically helping this experience will help you in terms of improving your further next level of surveys and all.
Yes, sir.
When are you going to go for this?
So I don't know. I'm just still planning about it.
Okay. So make a plan. Like because my feeling is like those who have already made their questionnaires or tested something, they should experiment and keep experimenting by going to the users, understanding what is their responses and all. So it's a good practice.
Okay, sir.
Yep.
That's all,
Okay.
sir. That's all my question.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rohit. One more, maybe presenter, if somebody is interested.
Yes, sir. I would like to present next.
Yeah, Vijay.
Shruti ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, can you present my PPT?
Yes, I guess Arzu.
Yes, ma'am.
So Pujita, I think we can take your presentation. Shruti, we can take Pujita's presentation first, and then Arju, because Arju we called for your presentation, but you were not there, I think.
Yes, sir. I was facing some bad network issue on my side, like
No
bad
worries.
weather.
We'll go. Yeah, we'll go,
Okay, sir.
or maybe whatever. Yeah, we can go first. You can go first.
Okay, let me just share my screen. Yes.
Sir, can I start? Okay, am I audible? Ma'am, am I audible?
We
Yes,
can hear
Arzu, you are
Yes.
audible. You can start with
Oh,
the session.
okay. Good evening, everyone. Respected sir, respected ma'am, and my fellow participants. I am Arzu Shah, and today I would like to present the primary research I conducted for my idea Sukoon. So the idea for Sukoon came from a very simple observation I had. As students, many of us spend long hours sitting in lectures, working on assignment, and using laptops. So the same happens for the office workers and the work from home workers as well. Like we all often experience discomfort, but we usually ignore it. until it becomes very extreme, painful. So before designing a solution, I wanted to actually understand from my part whether this is a common experience everyone is facing or it's just my own observation. So I have designed a questionnaire on this and I have shared that on Google Form. Got some responses from different lifestyle people. So yeah, ma'am, can we go to next slide? Yeah, okay. So basically, this first part of this questionnaire was to actually understand who is the participant, like who will be the user. So I wanted to actually make clear about the participant profile. So in this, I have asked about their daily activities, how much time they are spending while sitting, and how often they are experiencing that discomfort. After getting some responses, some things got clear that, yeah, many participants have reported spending long hours in a sitting position for a longer time, and significant number have also experienced physical discomfort as well. And this wasn't just an isolated issue, it was something many people were experiencing regularly. In this, I have included what category work they are doing as a daily activity framework and what's the time, the daily average duration, and how often they are experiencing it. Like, is it very rare or on a very occasionally systematic basis? Can we go to next slide? So in this, I have tried understanding the everyday recovery of people. Like, ma'am, is this slide two? Slide two. It will be daily
This
strain
is
and
the slide.
recovery, ma'am.
This is your slide
Yes, ma'am. After
2.
this, ma'am. Ma'am,
This
after
is
this
the
slide.
slide.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So, in this, I have tried understanding their everyday recovery things and everything, like how often they have pain. Like, I wanted to actually know how it affects their focus, their productivity, overall daily life, lifestyle course, and their ability to actually work comfortably after that particular work. So, in this, I got a bit less response where people were actually talking about their muscle stiffness and the fatigue they were facing during their daily routine. And one more thing was like the people, mostly the office professional people, they didn't have much opportunities to actually take breaks and to actually recover during the day because they needed to work throughout. So this was one of the most important insight which I got, as it also shows that they have less time, like the lack of time is there for the proper recovery. Ma'am, can we go to next slide? Okay. So this, I wanted to actually ask what's their current recovery behavior. If they're actually taking some, if they're actually using some solution like medicines or something or the other, what's the scenario in that? How it is changing and how it's affecting in that way. So I'd eventually ask them how they're dealing with that discomfort, and the simple approaches were like resting, stretching. They are actually just resting for a while, sleeping, stretching using painkillers and everything. So out of this, people usually like take action only after the discomfort happens, and like after they feel, after they are noticing that pain actually. Even though not preventing it on the first go, they are actually noticing and taking actions after they are noticing that particular discomfort. So this is for that. I got two questions in this, like what are the structural methods and all, and what's the standard frequency of affection. Ma'am, can we go to the next slide? So, in this, I actually asked them about how you are expecting a future solution to be in this genre. Like, after understanding what the existing behaviors and patterns are, I asked them, like, I focused on the qualities actually what they are looking for. And many participants actually like they have valued that it should be fit naturally. It should be something which can be very easy to be included in their daily life. and it should be very simple and accessible so that people can be keen to use that on a consistent manner without requiring the extra effort from their side and without interrupting their daily lifestyle work. Ma'am, can we go to the next slide? And this slide was open to the unfiltered responses. Like it was having two ended questions because I wanted to know their experience from their words actually. Like this was one of the best part which I included in my questionnaire because some I got only 2 to 3 responses in this, but yet they spoke not having enough time to recover, that forgetting to take breaks, and like actually feeling that existing recovery products only provided them that temporary relief. Like if they're taking painkiller for 3 days straight, okay, for that particular 3 days the pain is relieved, and fourth day, fifth day, after the fifth day, the pain is again rising, and again they have to shift back to that new normal to actually take painkillers and stuffs and everything. So yeah, this was all about my questionnaire, and I feel this response is actually validated that physical discomfort is a common challenge among all the different lifestyles we face. Thank you. I'm open for any questions, sir, and any feedback from your side.
Interesting. I think you have framed your questions very thoughtfully. I would say that you have got into details of different stages and you have tried to frame those questions in a very sequential manner. Yeah. But how do you see your users? Like, how many users are there? How many of those will be basically looking for some sort of like remedial solutions? How is your
Sir,
understanding of the larger
yeah, yeah.
scenario?
So taking this into a larger scenario, like as I mentioned earlier, this was first of all my simple observation that turned into an idea, and that is gonna turn into a project as well. So sir, basically, like my first target would be the youth, the
Okay.
people like around the age of 20 to 40 who are working, who are into remote working, who are struggling with college works and everything, who are mostly into sitting. That's my first niche market. And it's not now overall Sukoon is
Are you
not only
looking
about
for
the
people?
musculoskeletal pain I'm talking about. Yes,
Are
sir.
you looking
Sorry.
for people who are working in work from home scenario? Or are you also looking for people who are
Yes,
working
sir.
in offices? Only work
Sir,
from home?
both, sir, because no, no, sir, both, sir, because at the end, both are sitting on their
Okay.
chair for a longer time.
So
Their
who
neck is
suffers
getting
more?
stiff with that pain.
Who suffers more? Work from home guy, or do you think that office guy is suffering
Um,
more?
I feel work from home, sir. I feel work from home
Work from home
because
has
you
a
have
very
to,
difficult life, I would say. It's a very interesting problem to
yeah,
look
yes,
into.
sir. Yeah,
Absolutely, because
it is a
the
very
offices
difficult
you
life
have
they
a
are
social
facing.
circle, you have breaks, you have different ways to get engaged.
Hmm.
Your food is possibly provided by office if office is good. Or otherwise it will come from
Hmm.
outside, or possibly you will order from somewhere, or maybe you will carry from home. Okay, there are all possibilities, but at
Yes.
home, many times people get stuck with
Yeah.
multiple house-related chores as well as the office-related work.
Yeah.
In those
And
scenarios,
sir, it's the worst nightmare if the work from home person is alone. If
alone
he
or
or
they
she is
don't have
alone,
a
it will,
proper sitting arrangements. Sometimes people are not having right
yes,
furnitures, right settings, like
yeah,
environmental conditions like air conditioners, or maybe lighting
yes, sir.
systems, enough sort of like space to work. Yeah. So, and then every now and then there are some other things coming up. I think it's a very interesting problem and very human issue, I would say. My some of the observations are like you might look into all the domains and simplify your questions also. Where some questions are very
Yes,
technical.
sir.
Some questions, if you're going
Hmm.
for questionnaire sort of like scenario, and if you're talking to people who are common people, then possibly your terminologies could be
Hmm.
easier to understand and easier to possibly to respond. Many people would not be able to look into the complex terminologies and they'll not be able to understand what is your answer. If you're looking for somebody who is a common person and who has some sort of a problem which has not been diagnosed right,
Hmm.
we are looking for a person who has already been diagnosed and suffering from something and some back issues or shoulder issues or maybe some issues or maybe certain type of like conditions, then possibly those technical terminologies are good. But common people
So I'll
might
keep
not
that
be
in
aware
mind.
that they are going through something which is going to be a dangerous scenario after 2 months or 5 months or something.
Hmm.
So in those scenarios, I think you
So
should
for
go
this
more.
also we need to create some awareness as well before
Absolutely, yeah,
actually that's what like I shared this questionnaire with very few people, sir. So for some people it was very easy for them to answer, but for some people like I had to sit with them and actually explain them and like actually make them aware about how things are, and they were actually surprised. Oh, actually the things are happening like this or what? And like it was a more learning experience for me in that
yeah,
scenario.
yeah. No, it's very interesting. When you float a survey, sometimes you feel that everybody will fill up and give a response. But when you go and check the reality, people are not interested because of multiple reasons. Either because of lack of
Yes,
awareness,
sir.
lack of interest,
Hmm.
lack of time to respond, or maybe they are already suffering and they don't feel that anything. They feel that anything cannot resolve any other thing cannot resolve their issues. They have accepted everything. So those are, I think, many times. This is where I think questionnaires are not enough to get responses. Maybe you should also cross verify, go to the field, understand what is happening with the real sort of like users, how they're seeing, facing suffering and all in given situation. It's a good idea. And maybe your questionnaires will also improve as you spend more time with them.
Yes, sir.
So I think it's a
Sir,
very
any
interesting case
feedback on
study.
this?
Yeah. It's a
Any
very
feedback, sir? Like I can work on?
Oh yeah, definitely. You keep working on it. This is very much required.
Yeah.
I think many of us will are going to suffer from this very soon. Those who are going to get jobs and going to work from home or going to be in office scenarios from 9 to 6, which is extendable up to maybe extra 2, 3, 4 hours. I think this is a common scenario which is happening in and around us. So I think it's a very interesting area to look into and good possibility to look at from social innovation perspective. I would say also it's a very interesting topic to work on. Yeah. So as you go further, possibly
Thank
your
you, sir.
questions will also refine. Your target audience will also get more closer to some domains. You might eliminate some who are not falling under your categories, or maybe you will choose some who are relevant to your future studies and all. So I think those who will be taking your services or your sort of like awareness drives and all. So that way, I think it will get further refined, but it's a good attempt to start with. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So Pujita, we can have your presentation and then I'll have some information to share with you.
Oh, yes, sir.
Pujita, are you sharing your screen or should I share it for you?
Yeah, no, ma'am, I'll share my screen, ma'am.
Okay, great.
Good evening, all. So I am Pujita. My project is on AquaSense, and here is my questionnaire. So first, I just what is the role of a person, and what the type of the building they do live or manage, and how many people live in their building. So I chose these three questions as basic because the place where do they live and what is the role of the person will help me a lot to gather the information on how the water is used in their place where do they live. As for a resident in their house, the usage of water will differ a lot from an apartment or an hostel. So going to next, and how water usage is currently monitored in their place, and how what type of problems they experience and how often their problems occur. So these questions gave me some insights, like what is the frequency of the problems which are facing by the people. And this also helps to increase or to upgrade the efficiency of the aquasense which we are going to develop. Next comes what is the main reason for the water which is wasted in their building or in the place, and how do they know if the water tank is full. This mainly can be observed in residents and in apartments and hostels. and I have explained about the main faults which are observed in water wastage, like leak detection, like how they are monitoring the tank level and water usage, how they are observing that and all. And then what is the important, how the important are alerts for leakage and tank overflows. So because after speaking to few people, I observed what does that means. The instant alerts has helped few people, like who are using it, a very few people, a very few, like in universities or in some hostels they have been using that, and they from them they told that it's very helpful for them. And next comes, how would you prefer to receive water related alerts? Like how people are interested to get their alerts if water is wasted or if the tank is full, related to that. And then how much money are they interested to invest in the smart water management system? And would they and my next question is like, would they allow an IoT device to continuously monitor their water building system? And for this question, I have explained what I have been working on and all. And then what are the additional features or suggestions they could give me for this? That's all, sir. Any feedback, sir? Sir?
Yeah. So,
Yes.
yeah, it's a good survey form. But can you show the survey form, please? Let's go
Yes.
through the first
Yes, sir.
section.
Yes, sir.
So basically, when you're saying water management system, what is your bigger question? Are you looking into what type of systems are required, or are you looking into what type of mindset issues are there, or what is something which is possibly aid or support in the given situation? What is your larger objective?
Sir, actually, this Aquasense is a system which allows to see the water management trends, which allows us to use in a web dashboard. So we could see all those in a web dashboard, which we are going to develop through this one.
Okay.
So this is the questionnaire.
No, I'm not able to see. I think it's showing screen. So can you switch to the presentation?
Sir, is it visible, sir, now?
No. Presentation is not visible. I think some other screen is visible. So we are able to see the team.
You can reshare your screen, Pujita.
What, ma'am?
You can reshare, like click on stop sharing
Yes.
and then you can share.
So is it visible
Okay.
now?
Yes. Yeah. So go to the first section. Yeah. So first section is basically required to be an introductory section where people should be able to, or onboarding section, where you
Yes.
should be able to understand who's the user, what they're doing, where they're coming
Yes.
from, what is
Yes, sir.
their,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a good structure. Yeah. So you're saying that what is your role, whether they're residents, hostel wardens, or apartment managers, facility managers, who are basically looking into how water should be seen and how water should be measured. What type of building will give you some structure that when you will say residents, then you will come to know what type of independent houses and all and others. If you are saying hostel wardens, then you will say that, okay, with capacity and something, you will be able to see what type of structures are emerging. Go to the next slide. So how water usage? So maybe you can, here what you can do, possibly once you start with the introduction or the profile, then you can go to the first primary questions.
Okay,
so first question will be, you will try to test idea about what is the level of water management in given situation. So this will give you an idea about whether any system is existing, whether people are aware about it, or whether people are open to the higher level of questions or not, you will get to know from this part. Okay. Maybe you can make the section. I'm not saying questions are right or wrong, but make a section and for your own understanding. Okay. Part 2 is complete in terms of like questions which are focused around understanding the existing scenario. Yeah. So you're asking, how is water usage currently monitored? Have you experienced water related problems? Water related problems means what? You have to specify. So water shortage, water leakage, or water unavailability, or excess of water, or water distribution issue. You have to specify what problem. Yeah.
Okay,
What
sir.
is your meaning of problem?
Sir,
Yeah.
I couldn't understand
I'm
what
saying when you are asking a question that have you experienced water related problem? What do you mean by water related problem?
Sir, basically,
So, Pujita, my point is specify what do you mean by that problem? So, have you experienced water shortage problem? Something.
okay, sir.
What is your idea? Okay, tell me. Yes.
Sir, I understood, sir. Like,
Okay, otherwise, what will happen? People will not be able to say yes or no because everybody faces some or the other water related problem. Yeah, water is not clean, water is not available, water is not coming with right pressure, water is not coming on time. Are the common problems. Yeah.
okay, sir.
Everybody will say yes. So ask
Okay.
specific questions. If you have multiple questions in that, whether you have faced water shortage issues, whether you have seen issues with the quantity of water, whether quality has also been concerned with you, whether you have faced issues which are prolonged. Maybe all summers you have been facing issue, or year-long issue you have been facing. You can ask, somewhere must be there, like how often do these problems occur? Yeah. So then you can say that, okay, whether you have a 24/7 water supply or whether it is a time bound sort of like supply or something. Yeah. If you want to ask those questions. So it should be very clear. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Then you're saying problems in terms of like leakage and everything. So you will understand that, okay, where the issue is coming from and you will be able to get to that. Next is, what do you think is the main reason for water wastage in your society, in your building? So your concern is basically to reduce wastage of water in the common systems. Yep.
Yes, sir.
So now you're coming to your core research question area. Yep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So these questions are more serious, and these questions are basically going to give you the answers.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And you will be able to relate to the earlier previous parts based on the responses which are emerging from here. So then questions, do you think, what do you think is the main reason for water wastage in your society? It's a very qualitative question. You have to give options.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So how do you
Okay.
currently know? If it is a quantitative response, then give all quantitative questions. The leakages issues, or maybe issue of like open taps, or maybe piping systems, or maybe tank structures, or maybe a proper system to observe and close the supply, whatever. Yeah. So water wastage issues in society, for what reason? You will be able to know. How do you currently know if water tank is full? Okay, it's a good question. Which
Okay.
feature would you be most useful in smart water management system? So leak detection, tick, 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 tick. Okay, very good. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
The last part. So how would you prefer to receive water related alerts? Okay. How would you be able to invest in the smart water management system? Okay. So first ask whether they will be interested in this or not. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So do you really need a water management system? Many people will say no. Okay. Then give them a question. If there is a system which is available at a lower cost and will give you multiple other benefits in terms of water usage, water sort of like quality and water related other factors, would you be interested in that? They will say yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That might
Okay.
be possible.
Okay, sir.
Would you allow an IoT device to continuously monitor your building? And then when they say they are onboarded, then they will be saying yes. What additional features you would suggest? It's a good question. Yeah. I think it's a good closure also. But only thing is like divided into section, make questions very clear. Naturally, questions are very relatable and connected with the problem. So that way, I think it's a good structure to start with.
Okay,
Yeah.
sir. Okay,
There
sir.
might
Thank
be
you.
issues in terms of like installation, plumbing, alerts, or maybe other factors, cost. Those issues you will be able to come to know through your interaction, your personal interviews, and all.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. So, guys, any questions on how possibly we can frame our questionnaires? What type of points we should be keeping in mind? What is something which is going to be tricky in questionnaires? Any questions? Okay. Same thing happens with interviews. When you go for interviews, same similar nature of like things will be there in terms of like what question to be asked, how you will ask those questions, how you will how you'll lead to the next level of questions, how you will frame your approach so that respondent will find it easier to respond. How much time you should spend with somebody. If somebody is giving you certain type of responses at their home or offices or maybe in institution, colleges or something, situation is very different in each places. So how long the questionnaire should be or interview should be, how you will possibly engage with the person, what benefits you will provide to the interviewee so that person will be engaged with you. So those type of challenges you will also find in the other part, which is qualitative sort of like research activity. Yeah. So keep those factors in mind, divided it in a right manner so that you will be able to get right responses towards the end of your research. So now comes the most trickiest part of the activity, which is called insights. So insights are very tricky things. I would say insights are not information. Yeah, insights are not something which is apparent, visible, which is analysis of your research in terms of straightforward answers churning out from your analysis. These are very tricky things because insights are sometimes hidden, sometimes they are unknown, sometimes they are coming on their own. Sometimes you have to find out insights in a right manner. So that way, insights are very, very tricky to get. But insights are very important because insights will lead you to certain type of directions. If you have right insights, that means you are on a right track to take up your journey forward. Yeah. Many times people don't have great insights and they go ahead with the answers which they have got from the questionnaires or interviews. And sometimes they struggle. So, what is insights? And these are some of the examples. When you're looking for something which is sticky, the insight was like a non-functional glue became a 3M ka this post-it because that glue was not functioning right. But insight was that this glue can be used for a paper which should not leave a mark and which should be usable in an easier manner. And then Dr. Spencer made a post-it. Or insights coming from those wild seeds which were getting hooked on the cloths. Somebody realized and then found that there is a possibility of making similar structures by using certain type of materials, and then Velcro became a popular thing in present scenario. These are possibly insights because in apparent sort of like scenario, nobody will say that a failed glue will be a great business for 3M, or maybe unknown sort of like hook which can make make our life easier by putting them in this combination will become a Velcro. So that is how we come across multiple such sort of like information in our life, and those sometimes leads us to great solutions. So insights are deeper understanding or revelations gained through the analysis, interpretation, synthesis of data and information. So insights happen when you collect all the data, you start analyzing, you start discussing, and then some popping up information comes up. Yeah, it says, okay, my feeling is like this user is saying something which is relevant to our question, or this is something which I felt that the product is going to be successful. One of my experience, personal experience, when I was part of one of the washing machine research, I came to know that one of the leading company, which used to be considered as an international sort of like brand, basically Indian brand, was presenting themselves as a premium product in the Indian market. Whereas our research insight was that this is not just a premium product, but this is an aspirational product, and a lot of people from middle income group are also preferring them as an aspirational machine in the market. So that way, that insight basically helping company to reposition their products and then taking them to a mass which is willing to spend money on their machines. So that way, sometimes you analyze data, you try to understand what is something which is deeper and what is something which is going to give you better mileage in given situation. Interrelations emerging from the factors like market, user, challenges, and possibilities. Many times you feel that data is scattered, and when you start mapping them, bringing some interrelation between them, you come to know that okay, there is a connection between these two or three information, and this can form as an insight. Yeah, it's very common. Yeah, as you move further, you'll find that there will be a lot of such things will happen when you will start analyzing data and putting them down in a more spreaded manner. Sudden realization or flashes of understanding that provide clarity or which solves a problem. So many times it happens, they are serendipitous. It will just have a spark and you'll feel that, okay, I've got something. Sometimes insights come like this. So when you're putting your energy, time, money, mind into something, some flashes will come out as insights. Insights often emerge at an intersection of different disciplines. You will never be able to do and get an insight only by following one process or only by following one discipline. So technology solutions sometimes emerge from artist's mind, and sometimes people come and say, okay, why don't you try this? Why don't you look at something which is different than what your understanding is? So that way they are at intersection of different disciplines. Yeah. And then they can possibly give you newer directions. Insights uncover the underlying principles, motivations, and implications related to the users. Yeah. So many times it happens that as you keep working with the given situation, you keep struggling with the finding of new sort of like information from the data, they emerge and they get uncovered in the process of doing so. They're not obvious and they are always coming in different sort of ways. Insights are always interrelated, deeper nature of things, behavior and systems, new perspectives of seeing existing scenarios. Many times it happens that you are seeing something in a very fixed manner and then something happens and you start looking at from other perspectives. Exploration or discovery of new information. Justified. It's not that it's all fluke. Insights are always have to be justified, logical. There should be a rationale behind it. You should not just say, okay, I got some intuitive sort of like ideas and I should go with it. When insights have been gained, you have become confident about some insights, you should have justification that we should go with, why we should go with it. So that way it has to be justified and with some rationale, you should present it. Yeah. So data and insights. Data, we can have an example like car sales, Hyundai versus Tata versus Suzuki, number of cars sold in a month, or month-wise data, or trends in terms of increasing and decreasing shares, preference in different segments. You will find that some information is there in the form of data. Insights will be why some people prefer Suzuki car over other brands. Why what is the most attractive offer from the Hyundai and why people want to take it, or why Tata cars are preferred against Suzuki and Hyundai. These are insights. When you will look into consumer behavior, you will find that different ways people make different decisions, and they choose different type of products. Yeah. And that is where companies are trying to catch hold of those ideas of their customers so that they'll be able to get higher share in the industry. What could be the emerging trend in the car industry? Could be possibly coming out when you will analyze those data and you will try to see the different underlying patterns existing in the given situation. Good research insights or good explorative insights are backed by extensive and planned research. As we have discussed earlier, that it has to be very well planned research that will lead to the right insights. Leading to findings in a logical manner. It has to be logical, it has to be meaningful, unique, and useful. Insight should not be common. Okay, this pencil is very good, and I should go ahead with it by doing some basic changes. It should not be a common thing because every pencil is like this. Every pencil has a eraser on in the end. Every pencil has a hexagonal shape. So if insight is there and you have some great ideas, they need to be unique. Otherwise, you will not be able to gain advantage of that. True representation of research situation. It should always be answering to your question, what you have taken up and how you have framed it during start of your research. Insight should inspire creativity. It should inspire breakthrough solutions. So that way, insight should not be ordinary sort of like statement which are going to be sort of like me too sort of like situation where you're not able to get additional advantage for your enterprise. So how we find it? Basically, analysis and synthesis of data. Analysis is basically you're trying to divide and see what is there in the situation. Synthesis is like you're bringing all the data together and then seeing what is emerging from here. Both exercises are required, and then you see that something is coming out. Finding interrelationship, you see patterns, you see chart, you see some sort of like diagrams which are emerging from your quantitative details, and some responses which are coming from interviews or maybe focus group discussions and all. And those interrelations, you will find that there are certain things which are hidden, which can be useful for you. Seeing patterns within data, events, responses. And this is very common. Like it's not a great sort of like way to find out insights. Basically, seeing patterns, seeing responses from different things is easier to observe if you are intentionally doing this. Yeah. There are a lot of imagination and perspectives required. So it should not be just flat analysis by putting some data into Excel sheet and then seeing what is emerging. You have to have multiple imagination. You should build some relationship between two and then try to see what is happening. Eliminate some data and see what is emerging. Try to find out some specific response and what has been response in the interviews. You will find that there is some interrelation happening. Sometimes behave clever, quirky, witty, eccentric, paranoid. This could be possibly characteristics you can follow and feel that if I will be really interested in finding something, can I behave like this? Can I be more clever and try to see something emerging or not? Or can I be witty and see something is there or not? So that way, there are possibilities when you sit in group and try to analyze information from the research. Most of the time, you should be calmer, composed, humble, down to earth to know what is there in the scenario. Many times it happens. Like entrepreneurs are in haste. They are very eager to find out things. And sometimes they lose out key insights emerging from the given situation. So be very composed in terms of like when you are going for understanding the situation and getting some insights out of it. Yep. Questioning your insights. When you get some insights, definitely do a quick sort of like check for whether they are right or not. Many times it happens that we become ignorant, become over enthusiastic about something which we have found. So whenever you have insights, try to look for whether they are real or not, whether they are inspiring and breakthrough. If it is not, then you should look for some other options. If it is not breakthrough, then innovation will not be there. So that way you should be able to see that whether this insight is really going to work or not. Does it really connect with your respondents? Whether it is set in the given sort of like situation or context. You should check that. Is it really something new, exceptional, and differentiable? Will it affect and impact the situation? Will it give you the benefits? That is also very critical because it should not be just an insight which is going to lead to some directions, but not going to create an impact which is your larger objective. So do this check before you move further. How you present your insights, because your investors, your funding agencies, your customers would be looking into what you have in offering. So try to present your insights in right manner because insights will lead to the direction and solutions. So whenever you are doing so, maybe insights not be presented straight away, but in the form of some sort of like outcome. If you are presenting, identify and clarify the real question and then present the insight. That okay, this was the question and we felt that this is going to happen. When there is a problem of helmet, you say that okay, policing and maybe law and order situations cannot be improved easily. So we should look into how product design can be better. The helmet design can be better so that people on their own will be able to take it up. Could be an insight, but bring it with the question that there is a challenge and we have found that this insight is going to work. Yeah. Understand what is known and what is available from the research. It should be presented in a way that you present this is known, which is available in the market. And this is something which you have gained from the given situation. Consumers' expectation and how insights relate with it. Understand and define the mode of sharing of the insights. You should not be sharing just by going there, talking, chit chatting. Create an environment, create some sort of like mood, and then present. If it is a professional setting, then presentation hall. If it is a casual meeting, maybe over the tea, then build that scenario that insights are looked and seen and understood in right manner, because this is going to be possibly only chance that you are presenting your idea and then people will be going ahead with it. You focus on big story, not the research or design process of it. So maybe many times it happens by providing solution, we miss out on the bigger story. So present the larger impact of it along with what is the idea. So that way insights are to present it. Don't tell everything in one go. It's very important that everything should not be told in one go. And tell a story, because entrepreneurs are good with storytelling. So create a story which is convincing, which is connecting with people who are going to invest in you. And that way you can possibly be more convincing and gaining the market, gaining the sort of like confidence of people. Yeah. All right. So I think we have covered most of it. Yeah, these are the common slides which we have discussed. So that way, guys, please keep an eye on it as you are going further with the exploration part, with the research part. You're trying to refine your questions. You're trying to get into more deeper sort of like level of your explorations. So keep an eye on how you plan your research, how you make different use of tools, and then how you get insights out of it. That way, keep an eye on it, and then I think the outcome will be definitely more profound, more stronger, and you will be able to get more out of it. So that is how we have been here so far. I'll leave it up to Shruti now to get some responses, and if there are questions, we can discuss those.
So, thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful and engaging session that we don't even have the track of time. I'm sure our students have gained valuable perspectives on designing research for social innovation and will be able to apply these learnings while refining their ideas. In case anyone has any questions, they can raise their hand. If not, then we can conclude the session.
So guys, you can
Anyone?
reach out to Shruti if you have any
Yes.
questions coming up in the later stage also, and you can forward it to me, Shruti. I'll be happy to respond to it. Yeah.
Yes.
If there are
So
any specific sort of like requirement, you can share with the group. I can share my email ID. They can write to me. Yep. Should I
yes,
put it in
sure.
chat box?
Sure, you can put it in the chat box. Also, because before we conclude the session, I would like you to share some insight as they are currently working on their project presentations for multiple tasks. So, in case if they want to create one slide with all the secondary research and primary research, how that slide should look like.
So you're asking me to respond to this, no? How that slide should be. See, many times it
Yes.
happens that you don't need to present your research in detail. Well, research is an internal part. You are doing it for your own sort of like quest and your own purpose. So that way you don't need to present everything, as long as it is not required by the audience. Audience could be investors or supporting agencies or people, but sometimes it is to convince them that you have done your part right. So maybe you can say that, okay, these are our approaches, and this is how we can possibly. You can say that we have done our work, and these are the things which we are taking forward. But you should be very careful about sharing what you have done, because there are a lot of time it happens that if you go too extensive in terms of sharing your research ideas outside, I'm saying, not with the current cohort, but outside, when you go and you get matured as a startup, I don't think you should be too extensive in that area. But work should be too extensive, should remain with you, because this work will help you to possibly gain further knowledge as you go further. So that way, one should be very careful about sharing what you have, what approach you have followed. Keep it brief, and put more emphasis on possibly insights. Define your insights right. That will possibly give confidence to the audience in terms of your work is right, and you should be given some sort of like support.
Thank you. So students, this workshop is just the beginning to create the real changes to your presentations. We have many more to come ahead, and we encourage all of you who attended the workshop or open house to apply these learnings while refining your problem statement and conducting your research. The stronger your research, the stronger your solution will be, and we look forward to see your ideas evolve in the coming weeks. And thank you once again, sir, for taking the time to mentor and inspire our students. And thank you everyone for joining today's session. We hope to see you in our upcoming session 21st July workshop, which is the last workshop with Jitendra sir, and then this workshop series will end with Jitendra sir, and we will come up with another series. So see you in the next session, guys. Thank you. Thank you,
All
everyone.
the best, guys. You're on very right track. So keep working, and my best wishes with you. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.